He knows too much. Greetings, beautiful people. I am Nas from the Nerd Syndicate, bringing to you a brand new review. On my birthday last summer, a friend of mine decided it would be funny to send me a game as a joke of some sort. Back then, I didn't really think about it. I figured I would just ignore it and laugh it off. Well, joke's on you, Matt. I am actually playing it now. You have no idea the pain you have put me through. I'll get my revenge, Matt. I know where you live. Today, we're taking a look at Genderbender DNA Twister Extreme, and let me tell you, it's not very good. I was only able to play it in very short bursts. Genderbender DNA Twister Extreme is a visual novel. Terrible one. Let's start at the beginning. I decided to go with the very first character you can see on the title screen. Meet Yael. Yael? Steve! His name is Steve from now on. Steve is a university student with a job at the campus's laboratory. And Steve is also a little bitch. Steve complains. A lot. Every other line of dialogue from this guy is just complaining about his job, his life, and university. Little did he know, his life was about to change. As I mentioned, Steve works at the local laboratory. On one fateful day, a giant explosion happens and Steve straight up dies. I wish. No. He's turned into a woman. That's where everything goes downhill. From that point on, the main focus of the game is talking about tits. What else would a man with newly acquired boobies talk about anyway? It's kind of terrible to think that this game has nothing to go for it. Dialogue is horrendous, the art looks, well, terrible, and the story never really goes anywhere. For the rest of Steve's story, we are presented with constant complaining from Steve because he doesn't want to be a woman, a constant description of how boobies feel, and please end my life, I am begging you. I am kind of speechless by how shamelessly this game is nothing but terribly drawn teenagers with giant tits. The game gave me the option to touch myself 4 goddamn times in the 1 hour and 30 minutes that is Steve's story. Oh, and yeah, Steve gets a breast expansion for some reason. That's kind of weird. Eventually, Steve meets Winter, which makes him flip the fuck out. He's somehow paranoid that everyone at school will find out about his sex change and that everybody's gonna make fun of him. I don't know why, but I don't think we went to the same kind of a university, Steve. But no, Winter and Steve actually end up banging. The end. That is the first story. But I didn't want to judge the game on a story alone, so I decided to pick a second one. So I went with Ben, the second character on the starting screen. Surprisingly, Ben is also constantly complaining about his job. However, the rest of the story is about the same. Ben didn't want to become a woman. He touches himself every night after his transformation in the story. He ends up meeting this guy at the local cafe and eventually decides to stay a woman forever to be with this man. And then they bang. At this point, I was thinking it couldn't get any worse. But boy, was I wrong. Cat girl, furry, snake girl. Oh boy. That sounds promising. Meet Derek. Derek is probably the worst scumbag you've ever seen. At the beginning of his story, I was kinda happy for the guy. He is uncomfortable with his male body and has been secretly researching how to become a woman, which is about to happen. However, when it finally happens, what does he do? He complains. Derek, now Dina, is not happy with her new body. Extremely disappointed that she's got no tits. So instead of helping the other lab members, which never wanted to swap genders by the way, Dina focuses on a breast expansion serum. That's the entire story. Derek's story is the longest of the 3 I could bring myself to play. But for the entire story, instead of focusing on fixing his mistakes that turned everyone into women against their will, Dina focuses on modifying her body to her liking. That involves a breast expansion, a transformation into a slime girl, and eventually even into a cat girl. The entire game is just terrible fan service with terrible art, terrible writing, and subpar music. How? Just tell me how this game got funded with $27,000 on Indiegogo. I just do not understand the appeal. Maybe I'm not the target audience, but in any way I look at it, I just cannot see an audience this would please. With all that said, please avoid this game at all costs. It is not worth the $25 on Steam, it is not worth your time, and it surely isn't worth your sanity. I had to take constant breaks and force myself to fire up the game a few nights a week, with constant reminders that I could be playing a good game. On that note, I'm out. Hello beautiful people, if you enjoyed what you just watched, please hit that like button and even maybe subscribe if you enjoy it. You'll find a link to my previous video on the annotation here on the screen, and thank you again for even giving a chance to these videos. This is brand new, I am doing my best to do something good, and I love your faces. I will see you next time. Remember to stay beautiful. Bye bye.